Okay, if I tell you that I know what it is because of a U2 song.
Vertigo.
Vertigo.
What is it? What Vertigo? Of course it is. I
Yeah.
don't think that's that embarrassing.
Uno,
I like a
dos, tres, cuatro. I hate that song.
That and
Yeah.
the entire back catalogue of ABBA.
Yeah.
I'll add that to the list. If I ever need to get some information out of Kieran, it's ABBA and U2.
I think to be fair, actually,
U2 or just that song.
That song in particular, the older stuff I find
Is it the
less
bit
offensive.
at the end where it's like yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that part. That's not my favorite bit.
That's lyrical genius. That must have taken them ages. Can you imagine the inspiration it took?
It's not my favorite part.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Scrambled Checksum podcast. I am one of your hosts, Kieran, as a person who this week took their very first little baby tentative e-bike ride. And I'm joined by my co-host Ethan, electric vehicle enthusiast and well-known environmentalist. Ethan, how the hell are you doing? And have you ridden an e-bike yet?
I actually have not. I was actually. It's interesting you should raise that because I was actually thinking about this just this very day.
No way.
But I actually have a clause in my tenancy agreement that means that I'm not allowed to charge e-bikes or e-scooters at my residence.
Really?
So, yeah.
You're kidding? I've never seen one of them before. Is that in case it like burns the house to the ground?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There's no thing of like you can say like, I didn't buy this one on Temu. Can I now charge it at home?
Does not appear to be. I imagine there's been a whole hoo-ha, hasn't there, recently in the UK and in lots of places, and a lot of insurance places don't want to cover. To be fair, it is a problem. It is a problem, like how many shitty battery-powered things seem to be making their way into
especially like
fair shores.
Especially an e-bike, because it's a big battery, right? Comparatively.
Yeah.
And
you don't.
Yeah.
You don't want that. That's one spicy pillow you do not want in your house.
Yeah, you don't want to like just have that plugged in on the wall in your living room and that suddenly catastrophically fails. Which is sad because I feel for the legit brands.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty cool, but I think I'm probably gonna get like a non-electric bike.
Oh, okay.
Just so I can I want to get a foldable one to put in the boot of my car.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
When I get an electric car.
There you go.
Because I also can't charge my electric car at home because I don't have a driveway, and also I don't own the house, and landlords are bastards, etc. I'm gonna have to rely on public charging, and there is a public charging not too far away from my house, like a 10-minute cycle, so I could park the car there and then cycle home and leave it there overnight.
That's pretty cool.
And then, that's my.
Well, I can recommend them. It was I've been away, and they had one of those like rental bike things.
Yeah.
Just like a local one.
So this was okay. So this was a public.
This was a public one. So it wasn't the like. I don't know what they're called. I'm sure there's a name for it. It was one where you had to pedal the whole time for it to give you assist.
I think. I think most of them do operate. There's some kind of legislation, I think, where they have.
Oh, so they're not allowed to do full. I thought some of them had like a little throttle, like a motorbike, and you could do like.
They are not allowed to have a throttle.
Okay. I see. I know there's ones as well that have like you can control how much assist, but that's obviously different because you still have to pedal.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, because it's one of those things because it's basically that if it has a throttle, it's not allowed to be classed as a bike.
So if you can just ride it without pedaling.
But it also then is too slow and too low powered to be considered a moped.
They also don't have like a number plate and stuff, right?
So it basically falls in. You can't license it. So basically, it falls into an area where it's actually you cannot legally ride it on public land.
I feel like those mini motos. Remember when they used to be popular?
Oh fucking hell, those!
Those absolute.
I do not miss them.
I assume the only reason we don't still see them is everyone that owned one died.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's just Darwinism in action, isn't it?
Like, I have to assume that everyone that owned one of those mini motos and used to like ride it around the pavement was killed in some kind of horrible accident on it, and that's why we don't see them anymore.
sometimes it's for the best. You know? I don't like to wish ill on anybody, but if you make stupid choices and it catches up with you, I don't know.
You ride around on a tiny motorbike with no protection whatsoever, and
Yeah, I might like just go, hey, have you thought of not doing that? And they'll be like, fuck off, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then proceed to drive way too fast down the pavement and crash into a telegraph pole or something.
I hope at least some people are upset when you meet an untimely demise.
But yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's the extent of my sympathy.
The e-bike was pretty cool. It was unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but because it was like a public rental one, it was quite basic, so there was no suspension and stuff, so it wasn't the most comfortable ride. They were pretty cool. It was like limited as well to whatever the maximum assist you can get. It would you felt the assist cut out when you got to a certain speed.
Yeah, I think it's something like 25 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, that's when it was cutting out actually. Yeah, because I think it was it was 25. It wouldn't go above 25, 26.
Yeah, which I think is about, I want to say about 15 miles.
Yeah, that makes sense. Which sounds about what I remembered the limit being. But it's pretty cool. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'd actually kind of want one now. Even though it did error code on me halfway through and I had to call support.
Oh no.
Yeah, it just started flashing an error code on the screen and making this really embarrassing tone that everyone around me could hear.
Was it just going? You're asking for way too much assist here.
You're weakling.
Soy boy. You weakling.
I think it was the soy boy alarm.
Noodle-armed.
Yeah.
Noodle-armed chicken leg.
Noodle legged. Yeah. I think that's what it was. Yeah, they were polite enough to tell me that, but that was the error code. I think that's what it meant if I'd looked it up. It was quite funny.
It's Daft trucks have a thing that come up on them. It comes up as a yellow warning, which is the same types of warning that it'll come up if there's been some kind of malfunction on the truck, but it's not. It's saying that you've malfunctioned. It's poor braking performance. It means that your brake. It's stop braking so hard, brake earlier, but it just says poor braking performance. And
wow.
The first time it happens to you, you're like, oh shit, has the truck just decided it wants to
brake? Yeah, the brake's gone wrong.
It's just a comment on you.
It's just you are driving
You're
badly.
driving badly. I hate you.
Yeah, you suck. That'd be quite funny actually if your car did that.
Yeah.
Because you know how when you're driving in your car, you pretty much always assume that you were in the right.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a natural state of being, right? Because you always just so you you have to pull out on someone because you've left it too late. But to you, you're just oh, sorry, I'm running late or whatever.
Yeah.
But then the car's
good, yeah.
But then the car just you pulled out too late. You were a dick.
Yeah.
You suck.
Daft trucks in particular are very judgy. They'll come up with stuff all the time, rolling if you brake hard, it will be rolling longer saves fuel. And I'm like, well, someone just fucking pulled out in front of me. What do you want me to do? Just plow into them and save some fuel? Yeah, it's
that's so passive aggressive.
Fucking trash the truck, but at least I saved some diesel. I don't think it saved much diesel though, did it? Really?
It's you go to
the side of the road and now a recovery truck has to come out and
you're going to overtake a bicycle, so you accelerate, and it's harsh acceleration actually is detrimental.
They genuinely do that. My god! Actually, the DAFs don't do harsh acceleration. The IV codes say harsh acceleration ! It doesn't. But then they do the opposite. So they'll say well anticipated sometimes.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, but sometimes though, it seems really sporadic when it comes up. Sometimes it's I actually did well anticipate that. But then other times, there have been times where I've really not anticipated well at all, and it's just good anticipation, and it really fucking wasn't. It's
that's it's doing it on purpose. That is it's doing it on purpose to give you some kind of complex.
Passive aggressive. Yeah, it's passive aggressive.
Yeah,
on the smaller ones, on the old ones, on the smaller weight class ones, so the 7.5s and the 12s. Basically, you can brake as harshly as you want as long as you press the button that turns on the engine brake, or puts the gearbox in engine brake mode. It will basically just tell you well anticipated.
Great job.
How hard you brake. Yeah. like, which is like, it's a good little life hack. It's good if you need that little feel
Little
good
dopamine
boost,
hit
little dopamine hit from a fucking
from an
truck
inanimate
telling you,
object, a vehicle.
like
Do you
yeah,
think?
the
Do you think that's the same system that's in every single Audi and BMW? That it's like you just merge with that indicator, and it's like, great job, considerate driving.
great job. Yeah, say you've saved you've saved 30 seconds of lifespan on your indicator bulb.
Yeah, it's like, great job. Or it's like
you're helping the planet one indicator at a time.
You're tailgating someone in your BMW M5, and it's like, great job saving on aero performance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you've saved 10 liters of fuel in the last week by tailgating people.
Yeah, just in reduced drag.
Yeah,
Fantastic job.
Impressive. They should implement that.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking of things that people should implement.
Yes.
Remembering passwords.
Yes.
They should implement that.
Yeah, what's your take on this? You added it to the topics thing.
So there's a little story time that goes along with this. So
I don't need to animate it, do I?
I mean, it's up to you. Depends how.
Technically, it's already animated, so.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, yes, it Pixar quality.
Yeah, I mean,
animations.
Maybe DreamWorks.
Ooh.
I'm not saying they're better. I'm saying they're worse.
Yeah, you're saying DreamWorks are worse than. Ooh.
I'd say in terms of animation quality, not necessarily in terms of CG, but if you look at like the expression that gets put in, that's my take. Hot take potentially. I didn't realize that was a hot take.
Ooh, Kieran, we like DreamWorks though. DreamWorks are not Pixar bastards.
What's wrong with Pixar? What have they done something bad?
Well, they're owned by Walt Disney, aren't they? And
yeah.
Like the hit.
But DreamWorks are owned by Universal, are they?
The entertainment industry.
Are they really any better?
Well, they're smaller.
It's slightly.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only ExxonMobil. They're a little bit smaller than Aramco, so they're not so bad.
Yeah, so I'm supporting the underdog.
Yeah. Anyway, forgotten passwords.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a little story here. So well, a while ago during back in ye olde year of 2020, there was I can't quite remember exactly what it was, but there was a minor disruption to everyday life. I can't remember.
God, so small. Some kind of thing in the news, I think.
Yeah, there was this minor little hiccup in like it wasn't like a major thing or anything, but we needed to be able to video call my grandparents, which they'd obviously never really done before.
Yeah.
Because like this small thing, we couldn't like go around to the house for some reason.
Yeah, we didn't go to work for a while. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah. Game of Boy bathwater was sold. Hilarity ensued. But yeah, basically we bought my grandparents a smartphone just after the first lockdown hit, so that we could like video call them on WhatsApp. And fast forward 5 years later, my grandpa still uses this smartphone, has his main phone, and he even uses, quote, the app.
Oh, cool.
Weather.
Oh, nice.
And the family app, which is WhatsApp. That's what he calls WhatsApp.
Oh, that's very sweet.
The Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks it up on the Google or the WeWow weather app that for some reason he keeps using, even though I'm telling him it's shit.
How many widgets does he have?
Oh, he's got at least like 5 shortcuts for every app on the main screen.
Yeah, I found that with I won't say whose phone it is, but there's one of the phones I support as part of my.
Is it Genius?
It's not. No, of course not. No, that's insulting. How dare you? She's way more tech savvy than that. What the hell?
I just didn't want to say who it was, so I just thought, well, it might be. And also, I've already insulted her once in this podcast.
Yeah, with phones as well.
Yeah, I know. Well, she's a Samsung user.
We were talking about that previously.
As well.
Yeah, no, it isn't actually.
Like a traitor.
No, it's not her phone. No, it's one of the phones as part of my like my extended network, kind of like how Microsoft offers end of life support for certain operating systems.
Christ, I
Oh
don't
god,
want
that
to
sounds
describe-
horrible.
I don't want to,
No,
describe my grandparents
no.
as tech support as end of life
Oh,
support.
sorry. I realised after I'd said it. No, not in that way. Not in that way. It's in like it's an extended, like the devices are beyond like support age.
Yeah. Do you want a ladder?
The devices are old. There was no comment on the
just stop digging.
on the users. Anyway,
Put the shovel down.
as part of my spring chicken program, as I call it, for the young'uns,
Yes.
whose devices I support. Anyway, one of them.
The spring chickens feed off the grain that was grown in the compost.
Anyway, the one of the devices I support, I went to like they were having user reported a problem with one of the with the weather. Weather wasn't working.
Yeah.
Weather wasn't appearing as they expected it to. Was the ticket?
Yes. Been there.
Investigated the ticket. Turned out it was of the 4 weather widgets they had on the home screen. None of them were the one that they wanted because they also didn't have the date, which was how I knew that it was the wrong weather app that was a widget on there. So I don't know if they ended up with 4 of them because they were trying to. They'd accidentally deleted the widget they liked, and were trying to restore the right one.
Yeah.
But yeah, as part of that, I did notice a trend of wanting to have a big fat thing with the weather on it. Like turn on your phone, unlock the screen, bam, right there. There's the weather. That's what this user wanted. Huge, bigger the better. Less real estate for apps, the better.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my story with that.
Gina, if you are listening,
Ethan's got some
that's
weather.
just the typical behaviour I'd expect from a Samsung
Oh,
user.
dude.
Or indeed an Apple user.
That's... Look, get on with your story.
Moving onwards.
Yeah, are you asking me for a ladder?
Yeah, oh Christ, yeah. You know how you were saying I could come over to your house?
No chance.
I might politely decline that invite.
Don't worry, the invite's already been rescinded.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough.
But yeah,
I take it all back. I need to meet Bingley.
He's pretty pissed. You'll hear him in a second.
Is Bingley a Samsung user as well?
I think just his loyalties would lie based on who'd fed him last. So.
Okay, I'll bring loads of cat food with me.
But yeah, your device.
I'm gonna bring him a raw salmon.
I don't know. You haven't tried him on any of that yet. You might not like it.
Oh, but you might love it. You know, it's a gamble.
Yeah, you're going in big.
Yeah.
Anyway, your device.
Anyway, yes. So yeah. Fast forward 5 years. My grandpa's still using this, which I think is quite impressive. I've said this to him quite a few times. I never in my wildest dreams prior to 2020 thought that I'd ever get my grandpa to use the internet, let alone have a smartphone that he then daily drove as his.
And fair play for him for not like just binning it off like when it no longer became as necessary that he had the video calls and stuff. So props for that.
I mean, he is famously a cheapskate, and I think it definitely helped the fact that my dad and my aunt said that they would basically pay for him because they didn't have they did have internet to their home, but they didn't have Wi-Fi, and it was this shitty like basically I such a low tier of BT internet that I was surprised it even still existed. It didn't the router that they provided didn't have Wi-Fi, and I think they got like half a meg down.
Was it one of these like legacy plans where it's like they just if you don't change, they just keep you on it and they just keep the service the same?
Yeah, they might as well not have had internet. So we basically got them like an EE unlimited data plan, because obviously we couldn't go into the house and sort anything.
Yeah, of course.
For some reason, there was I think some sniffles going around or something.
Yeah.
Nothing major, and so we and obviously my aunt and my dad were paying for that, and my grandpa being a famous cheapskate, I think that incentivized him to just use that for all his phone calls because
someone else gets a bill.
Yeah. So, but then he does pay for it now. They pay. I moved them over to our favorite Northern carrier.
Yes. Love them.
I got a small kickback on that.
Nice.
It's great because every time I refer someone, they're super needy. Because they basically when you buy your first SIM, they send you another one so that you can just give it to someone and they can just activate a contract on it, and then you instantly get £5 credit on your account. And then as soon as they've activated that, a couple of days later, you get another one in the mail.
Wow, I didn't realize they kept sending them to you.
Yeah. So yeah.
Wow.
Like, as soon as they activate it, they keep on sending them out. So I've just perpetually got a spare Northern carrier.
Well, because Gina switched to them and then and ended up with one. And we were like, oh great, it's
In
just
fact,
more.
I've literally got one on my desk right now, actually.
Yeah, we were like, oh great, more plastic waste.
Yeah, but they literally, because it's not tied to a thing. Literally, you could keep this in your drawer for like 3 years and then activate it.
Well, yeah, but then it's like.
But like if you lose your phone, for example, and like if your phone's stolen, you can just activate the SIM straight away, and then you don't have to wait for them to send a new SIM out to you. Or
I guess I haven't considered that. Yeah.
not like it's just going in landfill, is it? So I'm not against it.
No. Not against perpetual £5 money printing.
Hands down, the best carrier I've ever been with. Like for real, like coverage, and just ease of just getting stuff. Like hands down.
You know they use O2's network.
They do, yeah. That was
yeah.
one of the reasons I went for them, because I had a Tesco mobile SIM for a little bit, and the coverage was really fucking good, but it was quite costly, and I was like, oh, what's the cheapest way I could get out? Oh, and also, if you were on a monthly rolling contract, you couldn't get 5G.
That was it. That was one of the drawbacks, wasn't it?
Yeah, so I just looked at what's the cheapest way to get O2, and this was the cheapest way.
Nice.
So, there you go. Anyway,
yes,
we've been talking about this topic for literally.
We haven't even got to it.
Over 5 minutes, and I haven't even said the thing yet. So yeah. Anyway, so this phone is now getting a little bit old and tired. It's a Nokia something. I can't remember. I think it's the. What even was the one that I had? Kieran, can you remember the name of the one that I had?
I cannot. Their model names aren't particularly memorable to me.
Yeah, I think it's the Nokia 6 Plus, I think, was what I had. So they've got like it. I think he's got like the Nokia 7 or something. It's like the next generation on, basically.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was still rocking the Nokia, and I was like, right, well, I'm not going to be able to actually physically see the screen while I was setting it up, because they're like far away from me, and I'm not allowed to go and see them. So I thought, well, we'll go with something that I'll be familiar with the interface on and everything, so I should be able to just kind of look on mine and know what should be on the screen.
Yeah.
But also we wanted something that was going to be kind of fairly cheap. Because we thought that it was literally going to be like just while we were in lockdown, and then he'd probably give up on using it anyway and say, what's the fucking point? But then he's carried on using it for 5 years.
Wow.
And it's become increasingly buggy and glitchy. He's broken the screen on it now twice. He actually got a screen replacement on it at some like third-party phone repair store near where he lives. But then he cracked the screen again on it, and now it like bugs out and starts pressing random buttons occasionally. And also sometimes he's always had struggled with the swiping to answer calls.
Yeah, it's like an unusual gesture, right, if you're not used to touchscreens.
Yeah. And I at first it was genuinely user error, but then he got it, and then he stopped getting it, and I was getting increasingly frustrated, and then I tried to do it, and I realized that the screen is actually so fucked on his phone that half the time that just doesn't work. Like that, the touch sensitivity on that part of the screen just decides it doesn't want to.
Oh, so doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah. I mean, it probably doesn't help that he's literally put sellotape over the crack.
Oh. Yeah, so that's probably not helping the capacitive.
Yeah. Probably not. So, yeah, it's an increasingly buggy pile of shit. So I kind of floated the idea with basically after he'd been complaining about it, I was like, well, might be time for you to get a new one, Grandpa. And you've had this one for like 5 years, and it's a bit beaten up, and it was never a particularly good phone when we first got you, because we weren't really expecting you to carry on using it this long, to be absolutely honest.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's time for you to get another one. So a friend of my nana's was getting rid of her iPhone 11, or just said he could have it. So I was like, oh, great. So I was over there last weekend, and we went over to collect it, and she was like, oh, yeah, I've just forgotten my Apple ID password on it. And I was like, oh, that won't be a problem.
Yeah.
You can, as long as you know the PIN code for the phone, you can literally just reset it with that, right?
Kind of like what you were talking about, yeah. When I saw you in person, it was like you. In fact, that was too easy for you, wasn't it? That was your situation.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Which I've always thought is kind of stupid.
Yeah. Because I remember you saying it was like, oh, this is really, really silly with how the setup is. Yeah.
Yeah. I personally, I feel like that's a glaring security flaw.
Yeah.
But it turns out, well, I'm not quite. The only thing I can see. So basically, the state this phone's in at the moment. So I went in and I was like, oh yeah, what's your PIN? We put the PIN in. I went, forgot password, and then it's like, what's your phone number? And I was like, oh, okay, maybe it's just gonna send a 2FA thing. So put that in. Then sends them a text, and it's like, we can't reset your password at this time.
At this time.
There'll be you will receive an email from Apple support within 24 hours with a time frame for when we'll allow you to receive a password reset link.
Right. Which you couldn't get.
Well, yeah, because basically this person lives like 30 miles away from me, and I have no contact with them. I've got the phone, but they're not very tech savvy. They've forgotten their password. They've signed into it on a new iPhone, but they still don't know their password. And then if we reset the password, that's going to kick them out on that, and they're stressing out about that. So basically, we've given up on it, and we're just going to give the phone back to them. But I was interested to get your take on that, because I'm kind of, it frustrates me because I know if I give this phone back to them, it's just going to end up either sitting in a drawer forever. Well, it's going to sit in a drawer forever and then probably end up in landfill. And there's nothing wrong with it. She's just forgotten her Apple ID password, so it can't be reset.
That's quite frustrating.
Like, part of me is like, this is great because it massively de-incentivizes people stealing iPhones.
Yeah.
Because there's basically no point unless you also have stolen their login information.
Yeah, that's my understanding of like how iPhones worked. It's like you could steal one, but then it's like you can't. The phone becomes worthless even on resale because.
But equally, I feel like, well, I don't know. Is it actually a worthwhile trade-off?
Well, you know that
for how much I bet that the people are fucking awful at remembering passwords. And like, how many people do you know that you haven't physically like forced to use a password manager that use a password manager?
Yeah. Now,
even a lot of my like relatively tech savvy friends don't use a password manager. In fact, I believe, are you one of them?
I'm one of them.
Yes, you're one of them. Kieran, you refuse to use the password.
Wait, no, I'm one of the ones that use the password manager.
You use a password manager?
Yeah, I have a password manager.
Oh, right, okay, cool. I take that back. I was going to say, but a lot of people, like, they balk at the idea of using a password manager. I'm just like, but you forget your passwords all the time. It's like, oh, it's okay, I'll just write them down on a piece of paper. What?
I think I balked at a password
manager. That is not only less convenient, but it's also less secure.
I bought a password manager for a while because I was worried about them. Especially like a lot of the third-party ones that were being marketed a lot because they felt like a point of failure.
Yeah, you should definitely be very careful about which password.
Yeah,
you choose to use.
So I will admit I was skeptical for a long time. About password.
I fucked off LastPass after they had a data breach that they handled really badly.
So it's like I was very skeptical of them because I was like, oh, what? Just give all your passwords to this one point of failure. So like, you put everything. But that's the thing.
Like, so the best security practice is you should have at least 3 individual passwords that are not stored in there. So you have your master password for your password manager.
Yeah.
You have your email address that you use for that password manager. That's not stored in there. And you have your computer password. That's not stored in there. And those 3 passwords should be all different passwords, and they should be the only 3 passwords you have to remember. Because then if someone gets into your password manager, you can still reset your password manager password and kick them out, because they can't like lock you out of your email as well because the password's not in your password manager.
That's fair.
And and your computer as well. Like, again, if you've got this as a trusted account, then you might not necessarily get kicked out if they reset the password, blah, 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 blah. And just so that's the security pass. And then also multi-factor authentication, all the things.
I think what gets me though is that like the amount of times I'd see a service where you turn on 2FA and it gives you the backup codes.
Yeah.
And it would tell you to write them down.
Yeah.
But it's like they're basically passwords.
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
So I'm like, what? I'm writing down these 2FA codes. Why is this different to just writing down a password and putting it in a drawer? Like.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have to write down what the 2FA codes are for, because.
But you can only use each one once.
You can, but like, do you need any more than one login?
Slightly more secure than that.
But like, you don't need any more than one login if you're an attacker, right?
Well, that's true. Yeah.
So it's like, to me, I was like, okay, so I've got all this security. I've got password manager. I've got 2FA with an authenticator app, not through text. But then I've got these backup codes on my like final point of failure.
It's so frustrating. I feel like there's 2 levels of awfulness with multi-factor authentication or 2-factor authentication, depending on what service you're using. They call it different things. So some services will only let you use SMS or like traditional like text 2-factor authentication, which is terrible. And actually, if the service also lets you reset the password only by using that with no more information than just having that phone number, access to that phone number, that is actually worse for security. Probably, I would argue.
Yeah,
than
I'd say than
just
having
a password.
Yeah.
Like, because it's you can have someone's number transferred to a new SIM card and sent to you with no technical skills, or it with just social engineering, and it does happen. It has happened. It continues to happen. It does happen. So that's terrible. Let's don't do that. But then the double frustrating one is when you sign up to a service and it's like, oh, I can use an authenticator app. What a novel, like, totally future thing. It's totally not a thing that's been around for ages, and every fucking service should have it.
Yeah.
But then they don't let you set up an authenticator app without having SMS set up as a backup, and you're just like, well done. You were so close.
Or they
fucked it at the last minute.
Or they insist on you having to use their an authenticator app that they own.
Although I've found that, like,
they work
like
a lot of the
Google
time, don't
that.
they? You can do the QR
but
code.
if you just scan the QR code,
yeah,
they'll just kind of like Microsoft does that. Like, it will say use Microsoft Authenticator.
Yeah, and you can
scan it with a different one. It does work.
Yeah, I found that.
Just trying to trick you into thinking that you have to use theirs.
Yeah, I'm not convinced there are any that you have to use. It's just a bit like frustrating.
I think it's a standardized thing how it works.
Because if you were a non-tech savvy user, you'd end up with like 6 authenticator apps on your phone, and that would be very frustrating, I imagine.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said though about your Apple situation, here's my question then: would it be better if, ignoring all the potential backdoors that be involved in creating this, if you had a phone that was locked in that way, and if your primary concern is just about it being e-waste, would it be better if you could send it to Apple and they would factory reset it and resell it, but you wouldn't get it back?
But they would. But like, how would Apple the only way that Apple could do that in like a good conscience would be they wouldn't pay you for it, because
no, you get nothing
steal
for
a phone
it
and sell it to Apple.
You're basically throwing the phone away, but it's not going to landfill. Apple are resetting it.
which is also shit. I don't know. I don't really know whether there's a good solution to this problem.
I think a lot of the problem is that Apple had that really. I don't know if you remember it, but like years ago, they had that really high profile incident with the guy from Wired, who I think he got social engineered out of his iCloud account because of people speaking to Apple customer support, and as a result, he lost all of his accounts.
I see.
So he went on. He wrote this like really long article about flaws in. Basically, it was, from what it boiled down to, if I remember correctly, it was a long time ago that I read this, but it was something like it boiled down to iCloud support were too helpful. So you could contact them and be like, "Oh, sorry, I've lost all this, I've lost all that," and just give them information that, because this guy was a notable figure, you could find out about him publicly. So they were able to kind of spoof his identity by just using...
social engineering is actually behind a huge
amount
of...
And it wasn't even really social engineering, I don't think, in this instance. I think it was just, say, because he was notable enough, they could just search like publicly available information about him. So I guess it was a little bit of social engineering in that they were tracking that.
It's still. I think you could still argue it's pretty basic social engineering, but it's still social engineering. You're still manipulating someone into believing that you're someone you're not, basically.
Exactly, and they were able to get access to his iCloud account as a result, and then because of that, they got
it's a layer 8 exploit, the human layer.
Yeah.
In the OSI model.
So I was like, so I can kind of see when, because it was really bad publicity for them, because it made iCloud seem really insecure, and it was up there. It was because they were just too helpful to people.
I'm going to do a live experiment here.
Oh, you're gonna.
So I'm just gonna, obviously I don't. Well, I actually no. I was gonna say I don't have an iPhone. That's a lie. I actually have 3 iPhones. One of them's an iPhone 5. One of them's an iPhone 5S that's in a state of disrepair, and another one's an iPhone 12 that's also in a state of disrepair.
I was going to say you don't have an iPhone made in the last 10 years, but you actually do with the 12.
Yeah. Also, my work phone's an iPhone 12. But anyway, the only Apple device... Actually, no. I was going to say the only Apple device I actually use, but that's not true. I actually use my old MacBook still, but that's running Linux. Anyway, the only actual Apple device that's running Apple software that I actually use is my iPad. So I'm going to do I'm not going to actually go through the whole thing. I'm just going to see what happens if I do forgotten password, see whether this is actually that they've changed what you have to do, or whether I suspect that basically this person had tried to enter their password too many times, and it's basically like an additional layer of security.
Oh, so you think that's why?
I think you can probably still reset your password just using the passcode. So let's have a look.
So you think that it's because it's been like, oh, someone's attempted too many logins.
So I can go change password. Yeah, literally just asks me for my iPad.
Oh, so you think because it's had too many attempts?
New password, retype password. Yeah.
There we go. Case closed.
Well, I don't know whether it's that or whether, because it basically seems to indicate that the iCloud account is kind of the login of it's expired. So I don't know whether maybe it's just because it's been sat in a drawer for too long.
Probably a combination, right, of like security measures where if an iCloud account's not been logged into for a long time, it will have an additional security measure. Kind of like how your phone won't let you do like fingerprint unlock if it's every like 3 days or whatever.
Yeah.
You have to put the code in.
Yeah, or randomly.
Sometimes.
Or if you have a Google Pixel, before they decided to follow the industry standard of using ultrasonic fingerprint readers instead of optical fingerprint readers under the display, occasionally it will just decide that the fingerprint reader, your fingerprint's different, even though it's not like it's doing right now. Oh, wonderful! Now I have to put my pin in. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah. So like occasionally, sometimes if I wash my hands, then my fingerprint reader won't recognize my fingerprint. I don't know why. And then I guess maybe I've got a minuscule amount of soap on my thumb. Maybe
Like a grain of sand in between one
Yeah.
of your ridges, and it's
Or
like,
sometimes, if the wind's blowing from the west and the cockerel didn't crow until 1 minute later than it normally does,
yeah, then the
then it won't
fingerprint
work
won't work.
either. Yeah. And then other times it just randomly it'll have not worked for ages, and I'll do nothing different. Haven't cleaned the screen, haven't done anything, and it'll just go, oh no, actually no, I am working.
Yeah, no, I've resolved myself.
Yeah. So it's a wonderful system. Really, it's really really excellent. Thanks, Google.
Speaking of wonderful systems, I don't know if you've seen many of these, but I have seen a lot of websites now will let you log in with like a magic link.
Yes. Yeah. So that's an interesting solution.
And I'm like,
Um.
I don't know, I'm like, this feels too easy, but then I'm like, well, I guess they'd need access to your email. But then
Yeah.
I don't know, it felt weird when I first used it, and I was like, is this convenient, or is there an exploit
Could you
here?
Well, I guess like the exploit could be like if they always use the same like domain for that link, and then like say how like YouTube does it's like when you go to a video, it's always the URL is always youtube.com/watch?v equals and then a video
Yeah.
ID. I didn't do that off the top of my head, by the way. I literally just pulled up YouTube and clicked on a YouTube video just in case you were too impressed with me knowing that.
God, I'm just picking myself up off the floor.
I wonder whether like if it always like formats it the same, so it's basically giving you a random string that's unique to your account on that particular login. Could you maybe exploit it by just having something? I guess you could like you defend against it by using something like Cloudflare, wouldn't you?
Do you mean brute force it?
To literally just brute force try.
I mean, I'd assume it's the equivalent. I'd assume it's the equivalent of like a massive number of possibilities. So like your odds of getting a user's session would be like 1 in the lifetime of the universe.
What's a service that uses a magic link? I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think of some off the top of my head. It's been like more smaller services I've used. But it just
the only one that I can think of that's coming to mind is Cover, which is like a short-term car insurance app in the UK.
Oh, you can ignore the brute forcing.
Go on.
They're time sensitive.
Yeah, I figured that, but like but you could still like
that massively
same as like you can find random unlisted YouTube videos by just trying random.
Yeah, but like that's like the YouTube encoding. I forget how many there are, but like those videos are always there, so your odds of finding one are significantly higher than if you've got a bigger number to guess at, and you have if they like last for 10 minutes. What are the odds that you're going to randomly guess?
I assume that there's probably something as well where that link will only work for the IP address that requested the link,
or it'll give you a captcha or something like that, and then
yeah.
So
I mean, that would be a pretty easy way to actually protect it, wouldn't it? Because your IP address is very unlikely to change between you clicking request magic link and you receiving that email and then clicking on it.
Also, yeah, if they only last like 10 minutes, what are the odds of you guessing a random? Like you'd have to.
The only way that your IP address would be to change would be if you for some reason you were on 4G or whatever or mobile data, and then you went onto Wi-Fi.
I don't even think it would be necessary to go that far, because I think if it's like a brute force attack, you would just have no way of guessing that. If they last for like 10 minutes, what are the odds that you guess? Like, if you've got like a 1 in a billion chance...
That's still a chance.
Yeah, but it's like 1 in a billion chance, but then you have to guess it in the right 10-minute window. Like...
Yeah, I guess it's like how often do they recycle that? Yeah.
That's probably like 1 in 10... It's like,
I think it's a good solution. I think that's a better solution than login with Google.
But doesn't it defeat like a password manager? Because you could have all these separate passwords for all these different services, but if you've got it all tied to one email, I guess like the whole thing though with an email login is even if the passwords are different, you can reset the password.
That's exactly the same as it is anyway. Because even if you have a password manager, you can still go forgotten password and
it goes to your email.
That email anyway, can't you? So it's not really any more of a problem than that.
Yeah, so it's actually it just felt insecure to me for some reason, but it was more just that, like, it felt like it was too easy. That's actually quite clever.
Yeah, I think assuming because I mean it's just basically removing a step rather than doing forgotten password and then logging in. That's just the default method of logging in.
And I guess
I'm not a security expert, so.
And I guess it's the same as doing signing with Google, right? Just if you lose your Google
I'd
account.
argue it's better because it's not tied to your. I don't like the sign in with Google thing from a privacy perspective.
Yeah, because it's tied to an infrastructure, but you could self-host your email effectively, and
yeah, it's also just it's just linking. It's linking all your stuff back to one profile, isn't it?
Yeah, and
I tried to.
There's a central source of data that shows you everywhere that you've used that.
Yeah.
That, like, sign in with Google or whatever.
Yeah, I just don't like it. There's a lot of weird security things that go on. Like, do you want to know a really popular service that still doesn't support multi-factor authentication?
What's that?
Spotify.
You're kidding?
Nope.
Wow.
I'm going to double check that now that I've said it, but I check every now and then to see whether they've added it yet.
That's so weird. Because it processes payment info and everything, but, like, what's weird is that you can guarantee that, like, your whatever the back end account is for, like, industry people will support it, right?
I don't know.
There's no way that, like, Taylor Swift, when obviously it's not directly her, but, like, when Taylor Swift logs into Spotify, there's no way there's not some kind of 2FA there.
I swear I removed my link to Facebook on my. Apparently not.
But, like, there's no way that, like,
Facebook, Google, Apple. Yeah, there's no option to add.
Wow. No 2FA.
Change password, account privacy.
You just need to get more famous.
2FA on Spotify.
Yeah,
like you say, it handles payment information. It's got your billing address in there.
Oh my god, yeah, look, setting up 2FA for Spotify for artists.
Yeah. That was literally the first result that came up.
So if you're an artist... Yes.
How can I set up or edit my two-factor authentication? This is from April 2024. Hi there, thanks for reaching out. This feature is available for your account. You can access it. Oh,
they've added it.
This page is out of tune.
Oh,
so I've clicked on the link
404.
and it 404. Yeah.
But if you're an artist, you're all good.
If this feature is available for your account, you can access it. Oh. So it's only available for some accounts.
That makes sense. Probably artist accounts.
You can add it to the ideas. Wow, it's only got 9,030 upvotes.
Wow, so that'll be added.
And this is on a post from fucking 2015.
Wow. 10 years.
Oh my god.
Maybe someday they'll add it.
It can't be that fucking hard to implement.
I guess it's
Spotify is you wouldn't even recognize what Spotify looked like in 2015.
I guess it's. Why would they bother though? What's the point? What do they lose from?
I mean, this is why monopolies are bad, people.
Yeah.
They have no incentive to do better.
They have an incentive for the artist, but not for people who pay to use the app.
Yeah, the people who actually pay the bills.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't. My dad does, but I mean, what are you talking about? No, I totally don't use a family plan outside of.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be breaking TOS.
Residence.
The worst crime of all.
I mean, would it? I mean, I wouldn't be aware of that if I hypothetically was doing that.
No, when your lawyer reviewed the TOS and told you not to do that.
Yeah, totally.
But speaking of someone else paying for your things, which isn't a very good segue. You've been speaking of things that have fallen out of fashion.
Speaking of things that cost money.
Yeah.
speaking of things that are stressful.
There you go. That's way better. There you go. We got there in the end.
Yeah.
You've been shopping.
I hate clothes shopping.
It's a difficult activity, isn't it?
Yeah, I hate it, and I think I just find the entire concept of trying to find something that looks good and fits me stressful because I don't have a great sense of what looks good.
No, I agree. Not in terms of like you don't. I mean, I feel
the same. Whoa. Okay.
No, I think
supposed to be supportive.
No, I was saying like
we're friends.
I feel the same way. Like and you know I think
it's okay. I think you dress like trash as well.
No, I think you've got more of an image, you know.
Okay, I think you've got an image.
Yeah, but it's like dressing like Mark Zuckerberg did before he became cool. Yeah, exactly.
Was he ever cool? I didn't. No, I think you dress like Kieran.
Yeah, which is kind of similar to Mark Zuckerberg from 10 years ago.
Nah, because you wear like Mark Zuckerberg just wore like grey and boring.
Well, there we go.
What were you wearing the other weekend when I saw you?
Oh, the one that said Newton and Scootin'.
That was it.
Yes.
Newton. Yeah. See?
Yeah. To be fair, Zuckerberg wouldn't have worn that.
I think you have the fashion taste of a adolescent.
Well, there we go. I'll take that. That jumper was a gift, also.
Well, there you go. So, yeah. So basically, I enlisted the help of two of my friends.
Yeah.
One of which listens to the podcast and also lives with me. Hey, Jace.
Hey, Jace.
And yeah, and he's also sat next door in the bedroom next door. But anyway,
he's also sat locked up in the basement downstairs.
Yeah, locked up in the basement. No, and Alex, who definitely does not listen to the podcast. I think she'd probably literally rather do anything else. But
yeah, that's been made quite clear.
Yeah, she's not listened to it yet. So anyway, we went through my entire wardrobe and basically determined that basically most of the clothes that I own I don't like. And then the idea was to go into town and do some shopping. And well, it's not really that interesting of a story. I mean, we put it on here because we were scraping the barrel for what to talk
about. For once,
we rambled on as we always do. Yeah. But yeah, basically, the long story short, I went into town. Alex spent over £100 on some clothes that she didn't intend. We were supposed to be buying clothes for me.
Oh, they weren't for you.
Some stuff that she liked. Oh no, not for me, for her.
Oh right.
And I spent no money on clothes. I did spend £8 on some new nail varnish.
Oh cool. What colour?
Purple and blue.
Nice.
But I don't really like the blue. But I tried them both out. But the purple's a goer. I like the purple, so I'm keeping the purple.
Purple's a go.
Yeah. So, but I don't think that counts as clothes. So that's why I said it was an abysmal shopping trip because it didn't.
Did you?
Really very
was it that you couldn't find anything, or was it that you did the thing that I always do with this kind of situation, where I'm like, oh, that's actually £1 over my budget, so I'm not getting it.
Well, the only thing I did find was we went round a load of like secondhand stores and charity shops, and I couldn't really find anything that I liked.
That's always a gamble.
Yeah, and then we started going. We went round. I think we went into like Next or something in a couple of places, and then we went into Fat Face, and I found the first item that I was like, oh yeah, I'd like that, and Alex was like, oh yeah, that's definitely you. You should definitely get that. And I was like, oh, great, yeah, I'll get this then. And then I looked at the price tag and I was like, no.
Yeah, it's not cheap.
Yeah, it was like, well, it was like a 2 pieces of clothes that kind of are meant to go together. So it was like a shirt, like a flannel shirt, and then like a plain t-shirt that goes underneath it.
Oh, yeah.
The t-shirt was £68 and the flannel shirt was £58.
Oh, that's a joke for a t-shirt. Get lost.
Bear in mind that my entire budget for refreshing my wardrobe is £400.
Yeah, that's an absolute joke. That's
So
that's
yeah,
like I'm
just,
not one for fast fashion or like cheap crap when it comes to clothes because someone has to pay the price for that. But £68 for a t-shirt is ridiculous. That is just you're paying
yeah.
for branding.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we did discover that the kind of general fat face style is kind of probably mostly my jam, which is kind of depressing because my mum and dad love shopping there. So
Oh, it's
we're gonna have to see
kind of
after
like
this.
surfer attire, right? Is that right? Fat face, they kind of like
Yeah, I
surf
guess
shop.
it's ways. Yeah, it's just quite. It's not like in your face branded, and it's like a lot of quite colourful stuff and just like I really don't like. I don't like having if I'm gonna have something on like printed on my shirt, or I don't want it to just be some random brand like ASOS or something. I want it to be something I
Oh, ASOS
care
is
about.
shit. They're terrible.
Yeah, but like some people like having they buy stuff that's like oh it's
I know what
cool
you
and
mean.
it's
Like you don't want
because
something
it
that says
says
Hood
like
Rich right across the front,
yeah because it says like Nike on it or whatever.
or Hood Rich. That's a real brand, by the way.
Is it? I see.
Yeah, it's
Well,
popular with with the middle class white kids.
I see. I see.
Yeah, it's upsetting.
Yeah, so like for example, like the only t-shirt I've bought recently, I bought uh Greenpeace had a campaign called "Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow," and they did they commissioned like a cover of "Don't
Oh
Stop
yeah.
Thinking About Tomorrow." It was actually really fucking good. Um, so I bought that. I bought the T-shirt as part of that campaign because one, it supports a cause I believe in, and two, it's just like if I'm gonna have something on a T-shirt, the T-shirt looks cool, and like I say, it's something that I believe in. So I'm like, cool. Just lost all of our 0 listeners there because I just stated the controversial fact that I don't think that Greenpeace are worthless pieces of shit. But there we go.
You I was gonna say you
Obviously.
could just wear exclusively YouTuber merch, but then you just have a ticking time bomb of like which one you'd have to throw away first when they inevitably
Well,
become
there is a
disgraced.
YouTube channel called Transport Evolved that I'd quite like to get some merch from, but I've just kind of been holding off because But I think I am going to buy some of their t-shirts.
I think just go 100% into actually no, I was gonna say go 100% into shilling for them, but like that horns in too close on my territory with my Amazon Prime T-shirt.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, they're not a big channel.
No, that's the thing.
They're very like if they get caught up in a scandal, like a legitimate scandal, that will be the last dreg of my
All faith in humanity. You'll just abandon wearing clothes at that point and just go and live in the woods.
I will never trust anybody again.
No, you may as well just go and live in the woods at that point and.
I think I've spoken about this on the podcast before. I've definitely spoken to you about it before, but I've met Nikki of Transport.
Oh, you have, yeah.
Yeah, and she was like one of the most genuine people I've ever met.
Yes, you have.
So you know, if she turns out to be a complete fraudster, I'll just be like, right, that's it. I'm done with humanity. I'm just gonna write it off.
Would you wear a scrambled checksum shirt if I made one? No, absolutely not.
The colours aren't really right for me.
We'd
have to redo our colour palette.
What's
really my colour?
What's your colours?
I quite like me purpley, like bluey sort of.
Oh, that explains because you got to pick the colour of the of our band merch, right?
Yes.
And hence why you chose the purple T-shirt.
I'm wearing that T-shirt right now, but it is so faded that you can't actually really see.
Yeah, they don't last super long.
So it's a pajama top.
I can always restock them. I still have the artwork, I think.
Yeah, unlike the poster.
Unlike the poster, unfortunately, that was lost.
One of a kind. Although that is in here right now.
The poster genuinely is one of a kind because when I moved in with my partner, I had to clear out the stuff in my cupboards and the spares because I ordered like 5 of those posters because it was like the same price as buying one, and I was like, oh, that way if I ever want to like put one up myself.
You chuck them.
Yeah.
You chucked them.
Would you have had them? What was I supposed to do with them? They were massive.
I mean, someone would have had them.
Yeah, but I don't want. It was for you. I'm just going to give them out to people.
You know what? That's fair. I'm like I feel like I should be outraged. That was
But like,
my
what
initial reaction. But you know,
what is
I
there to be outraged about? Like, I felt bad throwing them away, but I was like, you know, who was I going to give them to? Where it would
you know what the artist has final say over what happens to their art,
it was a
you know?
design I did for you, so it's like if I was the only other person I feel like it wouldn't have felt weird to have one was me, which is why I got the spares in case I wanted to
I get
put
a
them up.
lot of questions about it when people see it. Like not like that, not
Oh,
like
right.
judgmental. Just like a lot of people ask what the Japanese characters say, and I'm like, I mean, for all I know, it could say "fuck you, Ethan" on your stupid fucking birthday.
I actually can't remember.
I
I'd have to translate it again.
yeah.
It's not meaningless. It does.
Yeah, you did tell me what it
I
means.
did. I
I think
remember.
it just says "pale white boy fuzz" potentially.
I think one of them does, and then one of the signs says something else. There's like an Easter egg, I think, in it.
Yeah.
I'd have to look that up.
Yeah, even the artist can't remember the.
But yeah, I had because that was it. You could buy one, or you could buy 5, or you could buy like 10, 15, 25 and stuff. And I was like, it was like £2 more to get 5, and I was like, oh, in case they screw up the printing, and in case I ever want one, I'll get 5.
Yeah, if we do a rebrand of the Scrambled Checksum, which we were gonna do, I think
Months ago.
Are we at the beginning of the 3rd year of doing this now?
Oh god, I think it might. No. 2nd year has to be.
No.
Beginning of the 3rd year. No, you're right. It will be 3 years later.
No, it
this
is
year.
because it was the second break that we took. Yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah.
So I think at the beginning of the 2nd year we were going to do a rebrand, and then that never happened.
Yeah,
and then
no.
This year we barely even started recording the podcast again.
That's right, because I was going to say it was
the effort's slowly going down.
I was going to say it was this year that we were going to attempt to redo the intro song, but that was last year, wasn't it?
No, that was last year. Yeah,
because I remember you came round.
It's been a long old year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course I did. Yeah, we actually started doing it, didn't we?
Yeah,
we were going to do like the Intel bomb, blah blah blah,
and Windows XP, the Mac one.
Yeah. Oh fucking hell.
But that wasn't last year. That was the year before.
Yeah, that was the same day that we did the the mead fueled testing.
It was.
Oh fucking hell. That project fell on its ass as well.
The whole lot just fell apart.
Just like the idea that we were definitely totally not going to forget to do a short when we.
I remembered. It's just we didn't.
But yeah, well, I remembered as well, and then I forgot because we got carried away talking, and then you needed to go to IKEA, and then I remembered on the drive home, and I was like, oh, fuck, it's too late now.
I thought about it while I was driving to IKEA, to be honest.
Yeah, I should have followed you to IKEA, and we could have done one.
Could have filmed it in IKEA. They'd have loved that.
2 cool boys in IKEA.
But I will, going back to the topic of fashion, I will maybe think about doing a Scrambled Checksum piece of merch. It might not be till your birthday, but
okay. I'll let's talk off air. Let's talk about it off air because I've got some ideas I wanted to float by you anyway.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. To bring that to a conclusion, anyway. I was pointed in the direction of. I can't even remember what it was now.
Vinted,
that was it. Yeah, and I'm gonna buy a load of stuff off Vinted, basically.
Yeah, dude.
I've come to.
Definitely, because you can get the good stuff, but like you don't need to buy fast fashion, but you can get it pre-owned and you can kind of pick on.
So like I found basically that exact shirt.
Yeah, that's
that
the
I was
thing.
Looking at for literally £5.
Yeah, it's like, why would you not?
Like in good condition as well.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I'm gonna just do that.
Yeah, it's way better value.
Yeah, 100%.
And if you do want to find our merch when it becomes on sale, if you want to be the first to hear about it,
and also to hear about the hottest new fashion tips.
I mean, we're going to pivot to a fashion podcast.
Yeah.
Join us every other Monday.
Yeah, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Amazon Music, Audible, Deezer, YouTube, and YouTube Music, to name a few.
The URL is podcasters.spotify.com/pod/show/scrambled-checksum. You could probably just search Scrambled Checksum as well, it'd be way easier. Or go to youtube.com/@scrambled-checksum, or again, just search us. And don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, rate, and all that good stuff. And we'll see you every other Monday.
Yep, we will indeed. We will see you in our next episode.
Catch you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.